We are back. We are live in effect here in Fort Lauderdale. RJD, episode 9.
9.
Yep. With my brother right here, man, Marty. I met him at a BNI group. And let me tell you, man, BNI has been so helpful in me just being able to present myself in front of a group of other entrepreneurs and business people that is really, really doing it on a high level. So like when I first got into the group, it was a little nerve-wracking, but I met some really, really cool people, man. Some people that really embraced me and brought me into the fold of everything. So I'm gonna introduce you guys to this dope, this cool guy. His name is Marty. You can tell him a little bit about yourself.
How do I do this? Pull it up here?
Yeah.
Like that? Is that good?
I can hear you.
Right. These fancy microphones, I'm not quite used to that.
Yeah, they can hear you even if you're right here. You don't have to be.
That's fancy.
Yeah.
All right, how's that? That's good? All right, so yeah, Marty Elberg, and it is fantastic to be here with you. Yeah, RJ he's come a long way. He didn't even really present as nervous, though, so he's doing a good job. He's
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Came on there, we were like, this guy's a pro. And to hear you go, I was a little nervous. That's good.
Seriously?
Yeah. No, you always were on it. You got your message across. You knew what you were doing. You knew how to interact with people. Awesome. Yeah.
So the first time you thought I did good, like the first couple of weeks, you thought I was doing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe it was just all in my head. I was like, man, I was trying to prepare. I was like,
it usually
I messed up.
Is. No, there's no perfection. There's no perfection in your morning commercials. We do a morning commercial, if you don't know, and it's like 45 seconds to a minute, and we just talk a little bit about what we're looking for, and you do that. You always say, hey, this is what I do, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I need. That's why I usually tell a little story in the morning, and you know, back when I started, I wrote out a couple of them, and I was like, oh no, so I'd have to think about what I was going to say the next day or even maybe the next week. Now I just let the conversation go, and I hear what people are talking about, and I usually try to frame it around the question of the day or the topic of the day or the educational moment or just whatever somebody else said in front of me, because I want to solve a problem that maybe one of the other members is having that day. So when you hear me talking about things, it's usually I come up with it right then.
Okay.
But I've also been doing this for 15 years, and I've been in BNI for 8 years, so I've been making 60-second commercials for 8 years. What's 52 times 8? That's a whole lot. That's a whole lot of 1-minute commercials.
That's a whole lot,
I might have
man.
missed a few weeks here and there too. So,
so
figure 50.
How did you get introduced to BNI?
David Strauss.
David
Strauss.
Man, that's a cool guy too, man.
David Strauss, and that's how I became the estate planning attorney.
Were you started in that? Like where you just like? Yeah, let's back all the way
up.
Let
me back up.
How did you get to that?
I was born. So I was 35 when I went to law school.
Okay.
I just got done with a divorce that was, started out okay, and then it got rough. And we had a horrible custody battle that I do not wish on anyone. And I was in court so often that I was like, I could go to law school. I could do this. So I took the LSAT, the test that you have to take to get into law school, and I did okay on it. And I applied to law school. I got accepted, and so I'm sitting in law school and thinking I'm going to be a family lawyer, so nobody has to go through the BS that I went through. And I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on attorneys. And whatever it ended up being, Now I get along with my ex-wife. We have a great kid, Taylor. You met Taylor. You know Taylor. Taylor's mom. But yeah, we get along well, and we do the best we can now. So,
wow.
But I went to law school because of it. So there's
some
times of adversity when you find something that you truly want to do, and I was never happy in the jobs I had because I was just doing them to make money.
What kind of work you was doing
before? There was no purpose
before?
behind them. I was usually in sales, right before I went to law school, I was a technical recruiter, so I recruited engineers. I recruited software engineers, hard engineers like electrical engineers, packaging engineers, C++ when that was a thing, Java, like all those computer programmers. It was the .bomb boom, and then it burst. .com. It was .bomb when I left. So yeah, it was .com bomb. So the bubble burst.
It's no more .coms. You got to get .io.
Yeah, exactly. So bubble burst, and they closed my company. It had 100 offices, and they closed 50 of the 100 offices, and I was managing one at the time. And when they came and laid me off, I was like, thank God. It was like, it was rough, and I was good at it for the first, couple of years I was doing it, and it was really good. So they promoted me to the manager position, and then that happened, and then we were actually starting to bring it back, and then 9/11 came, and it was like done, game over. And then a couple months later they laid me off, and I was like, all right, what am I gonna do? And
went to law school.
That's
that is so
I ended
interesting.
up going to law school. Long story
I never
short,
met
went to
nobody
law
that
school.
went to law school. Like, I don't think I thought.
Most people go
well,
after college, and we're sitting in trust and estates class, so that's what I do. So I do wills, trust, and estates. Sitting in that class, and it was after lunch. So when you're after lunch class, you're kind of tired because you just had lunch. Well, everybody else has got their basically asleep. Because they're kids. They just graduated from college. So they're 20, 21, 22, whatever. Yeah. I'm 35. I've got an 8-year-old kid, 9-year-old kid. And the professor says, hey, if you want to learn how to rule from the grave, listen up. You don't want your ex-spouse to be taking care of your kid's money, listen up. You want to have some control when you're gone, listen up. And I did. And I was like, oh, wow.
So that's when
this is
when
actually
you chose,
cool stuff.
That's
when I became interested in it. 'Cause I had no idea that was even a thing until I went to law school. I went to law school to be a family lawyer, to be a divorce attorney, which whatever. Some people are like, that's just crazy. But I had my experience, and that's what I thought I was going to do. So I graduated from law school. I moved forward. I went to a tiny little town in Iowa. That's where I opened up my practice, where I grew up. So I literally bought a building for $17,000. So my mortgage was $110 a month. Right? Huge building too. It was awesome.
This is cool.
Just a great space. And I literally put up a sign that said Elberg Law Office, and people started walking in.
Wow.
Just started walking in. And I had to hire an assistant and an attorney within a year. I was that busy, and then
Wait. So you graduated from law school, and then you just went and started your own law firm?
Yeah. Well, I called around to all the law firms in the county and the area. I said, hey, I'm moving back in the area. I just graduated law school. I got good sales experience and good business experience, but I don't have any law experience. Nope, we're not hiring. Nope, we're not hiring. Nope, we're not hiring. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to open my own practice. Had a conversation with another new attorney that she had an office around the corner from where mine was, and we talked about joining forces and doing our own practice, because she started 6 months before I did. And she said, all right, let's run the numbers. So we did, and we figured if we conflicted out of one case, it wasn't going to be financially worth it for us. Meaning, if there was a divorce and there was a husband and a wife, well, if the husband went to her, the wife would have to go out of town. So if we weren't together, the husband goes to her, the wife comes to me, I could represent him. But we can't represent both from being in the same office. So now we're conflicted out of that. That's what that means. So we figured if there were just one or two cases, it's not going to be financially worth it. So we both figured out that we would help each other. And there were a couple things she wasn't doing that I was doing, and there was a couple things I wanted to do that she wasn't doing. So we just figured it out. She referred things to me. I referred things to her. If she didn't want a case, she would send it to me. If I didn't want something, I would send it to her. So we both built our practices together, but separately. And it was fantastic.
So you bought a building
yeah,
and
bought a
and
building.
opened it
Yeah,
up.
you're still stuck on the
That
bought a
is
building.
cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just this cheap little it's downtown Eagle Grove, Iowa, 3,500 people. You know, town I graduated in. Moved
Wow,
back
that's a
after,
pretty small town.
really
3,500
small
people.
town.
Wow.
Really
Okay.
small.
Yeah. She got a building though.
So I had a building, and when you're in a small town, you do pretty much everything. So as much as I liked estate planning and family law, you really do have to do everything because it is such a small town. You can't survive just on estate planning or just on family law.
Mm-hmm.
Probably could on family law, but I grew to not like it as much as I thought I would. It's a really nice way to say I really started hating it. So I did a lot of criminal law. I did a lot of family law, a lot of estate planning and probate, and then I did some personal injury as well. And then kids graduated from high school. Fast forward a few years, and we decided we were ready to go back to warm weather. And
So you stayed in
came to Florida.
Iowa for how long? How long did you
7
have that
years.
building? About 7 years?
About 7 years, yeah. And I sold it and made about $500 on it.
And then moved down to Florida.
And then I moved down to Florida. Yep. I met David Strauss. So this is all circling back. I'm coming back to the beginning. Because you asked me how I got into BNI. David Strauss. He was one of the first attorneys I met when I moved to South Florida here. Just an awesome guy, as you know. You've had conversations with him. He really helped me on my messaging. And because when I was at networking events, I didn't know what to say. I was like, what do you do? Well, what do you have?
Yeah.
I do this, and this.
Yeah.
And he said, look, you're in a city now. I get you came from a small town and you had to do that, but now you're in a city and you have to pick one area. You can do all the other things, but you have to pick an area to talk about. Otherwise, nobody's going to refer you anything because you do everything. So pick one thing and you'll start getting things. So I said, all right, I really enjoy estate planning. I don't mind talking about death. It's not a big deal to me. It is to some people. But I've had so much death in my life that it's a part of life. It's this circle of life, which is the name of my company. Came up with that. So circle of life is just going through everything, from birth to death and passing it on to the next generation. There's no end to that circle, as long as you do it right and plan right. So I started doing estate planning. And I was doing family law up until about 3.5 years ago because that had to pay the bills. Estate planning is not a necessary thing unless you've got a family situation that's like, oh, wow, we have to get this done. But divorce, there's always cases to be had in divorce. I grew my business enough that I could stop taking estate planning, or stop taking family law about 3.5 years ago. And it's fantastic.
This is cool, man. You guys are so like that's so. I'm glad that you thought that I handled it well on my first visit in BNI, man.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate that, man. And David Strauss is actually the first person that reached out to me for a one-to-one, and it's you, David Strauss, and I think it was JT that
Probably
just
JT.
stood out to me.
Yep.
And I'm
Probably
like,
JT.
wow, I'm in the big leagues.
Yep.
I'm like, these guys are serious, man. These guys have the whole, the energy, the charisma. They had this whole, I'm like, man. I was really I really was blown away. I was like, wow, you guys are really really official. You guys are it inspired me, you know. So I went to try to study and try to get my stuff together and try to be able to present myself as well as you guys and stuff like that. Have the different raises of voices and asking the question and it's like a story, you guys. And each time is different. So that's what I really, really enjoyed about it. But it was the three of you guys that always kind of really stood out to me. So it was interesting that you said that David Strauss introduced you to BNI. Gary actually introduced me
Right.
to BNI.
And I introduced Gary to BNI.
Look at that. Circle of life right there. See that?
See?
Circle of life, man.
Circle of Marty.
circle of networking and
right.
so all right. So why did you invite Gary? What did you see in him to invite him to BNI? Was it like
We needed a body. We just needed
Okay.
No.
That was
I'm kidding. That was a joke.
need somebody to fill the spot.
We needed yeah. No, I met him. I enjoyed his company, and we did have an opening for a business attorney, and I said, hey, you want to come check out BNI? And he did, and he liked it. He liked it enough, he invited you.
Yeah.
And he's been fantastic. You know, he's already vice president, so that's a pretty big role.
Mm-hmm.
And he jumped in, took it. It's like, all right, I'll figure it out. I've been vice president too, and I said, Gary, you'll figure it out about a month before you're done. It's that big of a role, and that gave him a little bit of a breather because he thought he was missing out on some things, but he's not. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, he's doing great. I think I'm still messing up. I'm still trying to figure out everything myself. I'm like, okay, technology coordinator, what does that even mean? What am I supposed to do? Just do it. You'll be all right. And then just
make sure the slides are right.
Like, wow.
Make sure, this
sounds like
it sounds like it's ending up to be a BNI commercial.
Yeah, but it's like a lot of coordinating and a lot of brainstorming and stuff. But like, all right, so once you met up with David Strauss and he told you to, so that's like choosing a niche. So like in
exactly.
photography and content creation, like as a photographer, I first got into the game from doing event photography, and when it was events, I mean every single event. So I used to mainly do like most of my business came from the church and the clubs. Mm-hmm. I was a church photographer.
Yep.
So I was doing all the family events.
Yep.
All
Weddings,
the baby showers.
all the good weddings.
All the weddings.
And I know we've
all
talked
the
about
funerals.
this. Yeah. Yep, exactly. Right.
That was me. But it was like at a point I had to figure out and pick a niche and like narrow everything down, and that's when I went into more corporate photography.
Yep.
More like corporate event type of stuff. And I liked it. It was like straightforward. It was events. I get to meet people. Yep. It was a vibe. But like was that like how was your niche journey? Like it was just like, okay, this is what I'm gonna go with. This is what I'm best at. This is what I'm going to continue having this conversation about. And you said you were doing family law. Were you turning away certain things, or like how was that?
Yeah. So I'm not really a fast learner. I hired a business coach, and he kept saying, "You need a niche. You need a niche. You need a niche." I'm like, "No. If I have a niche, then I won't get enough business." Well, have you heard the saying, "The riches are in the niches"? Mm-hmm. Okay. So you say, just like David said, you say you do everything, you're not going to get anything. Mm-hmm. You say you're going to do one thing, and that's when you can start getting clients. All right. So I didn't really advertise. I didn't network that I did family law. Mm-hmm. That was a different. I had a different marketing technique to get family law cases because, like I said, they were fairly easy to get. But that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I did to pay the bills, and I was good at it. Honestly, I was really good at it because I held people's hands. I knew the whole process. I knew how horrible it could get, and I knew how we could get it done much easier and much less expensive. So I was good at it. I pat myself on the back for that. But I burn out on it because it's a whole lot. It's very emotional. As emotionally detached as I tried to be, you still get sucked in. With estate planning, I figured out that I do need a niche, okay? So there's estate planning. There's a whole lot of different types of estate planning, just like there's a whole lot of different types of law. There's a whole lot of different types of estate planning. My niche in estate planning, you've probably heard me talk about it, is families with young children. So we've got a young family in their 30s, 40s, and they've got kids that are either from newborn to 14, 15, 16 years old. They've got some issues that they've got to deal with. Because what happens to the kids if the parents don't make it home and can't pick them up from school? What happens to the kids? Yeah, maybe if they're late, no big deal. What if they're in a car accident? What if they end up in the hospital? What if they die? These are the conversations I have with my clients. So they realize that they need to do something. And they know they do. They just either don't admit it or they finally admitted it, which is why they're talking to me. But the message gets out there, and it's like it's so important to make sure your kids are cared for by somebody they love and know instead of the state. Because if that happens, if a parent doesn't come home and they're in the hospital or they die, they're going to the state. Social worker's going to pick them up, and they're going to go to a foster care. They might go to a relative placement if you've got relatives in the area. But it's traumatic enough for a kid to lose its parents and then to end up in a stranger's house instead of somebody they love. That's why I chose that niche, because I had kids. I've got kids. I get it. Get how that works.
That's a tough conversation to sit down in somebody's living room and have, right? Like, yeah, you might die.
No, you're gonna die. You're absolutely gonna die.
You can't be here forever, right?
There's no question about it. You are going to die. The problem is we don't know when.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Don't know when. I'm healthy. Great. You drive on I-95. I just saw an article. It's the deadliest mile section through Fort Lauderdale in the United States.
Wow.
Deadliest section of freeway.
Wow. And that's a conversation that you have. And that's a conversation where it's something that, and it's actually good that, like how do you actually market yourself in that? Because like that's like a tough conversation to have. So how do you?
Well, that's not the marketing message. Hey, you're gonna die. Come see me.
Like how do you get people to be like because all right.
It is a tough marketing message.
Because I've met people that does what is the insurance? What is it? Life insurance. Life insurance.
Life insurance, yeah.
And I'm always like, I don't know. Sometimes they be seeming like scam artists. Sometimes.
Well, okay. So you have to appeal to the family. And well, I do. So I don't do marketing towards the older generation. I don't do marketing towards the ultra wealthy. And estate planning is not just for the ultra wealthy. And that's really what I do is I try to educate the public on, hey, estate planning is for parents, it's for single people, it's for old people, it's for young people, it's for any type of person it's for. You don't have to have millions and millions of dollars. Yeah, you should have some assets. If you have a house, you better have a plan. If you have a kid, you better have a plan. And it might not just be about finances. It might be about who takes care of the kid. And if you do have finances and you don't have a kid, then where do you want your finances to go when you die? If you're single, where do you want them to go? I just had a conversation with I don't know if she's going to hire me, but with a potential client today. And she wants her condo to go to her sister, not her mom, which is what the state has in plan for her. So if you don't have a plan, relax, you have a plan. The state has a plan for you. A lot of people don't really like what the state does for them, so you might want to look into it. Or just contact me. I'll let you know what the state's plan is for you.
So if somebody would just like go on Google and just like search for estate planner. 'Cause I think that's the first time I actually heard of that. That was like an interesting thing. I never actually heard of it, but the way you present it, it's pretty cool. It's pretty like you make it.
It's not as out there and difficult as possible.
Yeah.
I try to bring English to it. So another another thing about me in law school, I never learned the Latin. I never learned the legalese. I refused to use those words. I always translated, always kept things in plain English so I could understand it. And then I said,
they speak Latin?
No, there are Latin terms. There are like, I don't even know. Something Ecuador. That actually was one I did know for a while. Res ipsa, I don't know. Ask Warren. Warren would know that one. It's a personal injury kind of thing. There's a whole bunch of Latin phrases, but they mean something. And I learned the meanings, and then I could, of course, in a test, I could throw it out there, but to use it when I'm talking to you, I'm not going to use, like I very rarely use estate planning. I very rarely use probate unless I define those things first. Probate is a court process of getting your assets from you to who you want them to go to, or who the state says they're going to. Or I could put it even more firmly, it's a lawsuit against your estate, which means your property, for the benefit of your creditors, and then your heirs, the people that are going to receive it. Okay? That's probate. It's a court process. It's a very frustrating, long, unnecessary court process that unfortunately more people have to go through than don't, because there are only about 50% of the population has a will, but a will still puts you in that probate process. You have to have a trust to stay out of it.
Hey, I know you guys are like, oh, why do we have this guy on Truth to Create? Because we need to know about these type of things. We got to have a conversation about it.
If you're creating a business of any kind, if you're trying to create wealth, if you're trying to create a family, absolutely, you have to have a plan in place, a proper plan in place. Got a lot of P's there. And that's why at the end, back to BNI, at the end of my commercial, I always say leave a legacy, not a mess. Okay? Leaving a legacy is leaving whatever you want. A legacy could be a business. A legacy could be a real estate empire. It could be a bunch of recipes, family recipes. A legacy can be anything. But if you don't leave it behind, it's gone, right? So if you just have your this amazing recipe book from your family that's been passed down for years and years, maybe generations, and you leave it in the corner of your house and nobody knows that it's there, and you die, that legacy's gone if they don't know where to look, where to find it.
You know what I've been working on? I've been writing like all of my thoughts, all of my journaling, writing a bunch of documents. I got like a bunch of composition books, and like I always looked at it like the Bible. I'm like, they just wrote down their experiences and they put it into a folder and they passed it on.
Yep.
So it's like that's basically it, just like documenting our stories, and then you know what I mean, like just having our own family like Bible in a sense. You know what I mean, that I can just pass on, and you can see like my love experiences, you can see my business experiences. So that's what kind of like triggered in my mind, and even like all this gear and equipment. Like eventually, I do want to pass these things on, and it's just something to know. So that's part of the reason why I brought you on here for that and for the business. It's like, okay, how did you buy that building? How did you like, and the way that you're doing it is you just said like you speak English. Like it makes it more digestible. It makes it more approachable. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I think so.
It's interesting now. It's like it's not even like a scary subject. It seems it's more interesting.
So here's the perception is it's scary.
Yeah.
And it's always scary to talk about death. And I would say about 75% of my clients are afraid to talk about death. But as soon as I have my initial conversation with them, they're not. That's huge. It's huge for me because I can do that. I can put people at ease about talking about death. Talking about death does not mean you're going to die. And a lot of people think it does. A lot of people think, oh, if I have this conversation, if I put these documents together, then I'm admitting that I'm going to die. No, you can admit you're going to die because guess what? We already had this part of the conversation. You're going to die. But you don't know when, so you might as well have a plan in place. So, you know, the whole thing about taking an umbrella out when it's sunshiny and it doesn't rain. But if you don't take an umbrella and it's sunshiny and it just starts pouring, having a plan is having that umbrella.
Yeah.
So that's a little analogy I put, and a lot of people think that's fitting because it is. It's better to have a plan in place and not need it, which you will need it eventually because you're going to die, than not have one and need it.
Yeah, I like to say, I say the same thing. I always say that to my business partner. You met Raul. I was like, hey, I'd rather have it and don't need it than to need it and don't have it.
That's right.
It's like, he's like, oh, why? Hey, man, I'd rather have it and don't need it, and need it and don't have it. Make sure Make sure you take care of yourself out here, man. It's a real place. This is not some fantasy world. This is not TV. This is actually reality.
You better have an extra battery pack. Right?
Yeah, you better have a backup to everything that you're doing.
Backup battery,
backup memory
camera.
cards, backup every single thing that we have. It's a backup to it. And it's just being prepared. It's having that umbrella. You know what I mean?
That's
And it's just thinking about that, because like as content creators, as entrepreneurs, as business people, like we're in the business, we're building this brand, we're building this business, but then we gotta prepare, we gotta set our stuff up for the future, for the legacy.
That's right.
Right? Because we're building it up for a reason. Like it will really be bad if we just end up not being able to pass it on, and it's just like like how you said, go to the state.
Well, it doesn't go to the state. The state determines where it goes. Okay? You have to have, like, nobody, as in no fifth cousins, no sixth cousins, no whatever. It's a long time before it gets to the state, but it's up to the state where it goes. And that's the problem sometimes, especially with divided families and siblings that don't like each other, or parents that don't like their kids, or kids that don't like their parents.
What is the state? I mean,
The state, Florida.
The country,
Florida, the state.
yeah.
Each
And
state
is
is
it
different.
a person? Is it like somebody that decides
It's a
it? Is
set
it-
of
is it
laws.
just like
It's called the Statute.
Okay.
So it's the Florida laws, the laws of Florida.
so it's not a person. It's just actually like
Well, it's a whole bunch of people that have
Okay.
came and decided that this is how it's going to be for all of our citizens of Florida.
okay.
That if they die here, this is where their property goes if they don't have a plan. And even if they have a will, they're going to go through our court system, and it's public. So anybody can look at anybody's death records and in the court system and see how much money they had, where it went, who got what. So they know little Johnny got a couple $100,000 from grandma that died a few years ago and had a will. And they can say, hey, little Johnny, you want to buy a Lamborghini? That'd be a good purchase for you. You're 22.
So a will is not protecting your estate, your.
It doesn't protect anything.
Okay.
It just
How do you protect
directs-
everything?
just
How do?
directs where
All
you
right.
want
So
it to
all
go.
of this gear right here, how do I protect that? Just in a simple way, so I
gear?
can understand. Like everything that I
gear.
have, like
The gear.
not my gear, my business, my whole entire. Everything that I've been building for the last 10 years.
All right. So you've got a layer of protection inside your business as the business entity. You've got protection. Really, your best protection is to have liability insurance, and that's not my area, so I can't really talk too much about that. But you should have insurance. You should have insurance to protect you if somebody sues you for something that your insurance is going to cover. An umbrella policy, back to the whole umbrella thing. That's what that thing is for. So that's a question for Trey. How to protect it that way. Now, how do you want to get it to who you want it to go to?
Yeah, like afterwards.
Yeah,
like I got insurance, but I'm saying like.
Yeah, well, there's different types of protection. So I just wanted to be clear that that's now to protect it as far as getting it to where you want it to go. That's where a plan would come in.
And that's a trust.
It can be a trust. I almost always recommend a trust, because once assets are put in the trust and you can say, hey, I want this board to go to the trust, which is what we do. Everything that's in my company now goes to the trust, because we do certain documents that do that. Now everything's owned by the trust, and then there's a person that you're going to name to take over when you're gone, and that person's going to get it to who you want it to go to without having to go through the court systems.
Got it.
If you put it in a will, it's going through the courts, and the court's going to say, okay, great, and do the same thing, but it's not bypassing the court system. And going to court to get this done is way more expensive than coming to me and getting it done while you're alive.
Yeah. No, that's definitely it's a better. It's a definitely it's a way that you want to kind of go about it, And I just ask it because I'm sure a lot of people wonder about these type of stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder about it. So
They do. It's like, how do I get this here? Okay, you got a document. walk you through it, and this is what you do, and this is what we do, and I put this together, and I put this together, you sign this, and I explain what it is, and now it's in a nice little binder, so you have some place to go. Everybody knows.
Okay, so how was it like building a business in like, cause I know majority, like most people usually leave law school and then goes work for a law firm. When you go work for yourself, like, did you have like a certain idea, like it was like, okay, this is how it's gonna go? Did you have like and then did it go exactly as you imagined, or like
absolutely.
once you go into law, once you start your business, like was it something different? Like once, I mean, not go into law because you already in law, but I'm just saying like starting your own business in law, it's like, did it?
So
how did that go?
Yeah. So the first firm I had, which was Elberg Law Office, and that was in Iowa. So that was in this little town that I grew up in, and I'd lived away for like 20 years, and then ended up moving back and opened up my office. My parents were still there. My wife's parents were still there. My cousins, everybody was still there.
Yeah.
A lot of friends that I graduated from high school hadn't left. So starting a business there, I was told was going to be incredibly difficult by all the attorneys I spoke with that said they weren't hiring because they didn't have enough business. No, we don't. We wouldn't know what to do with you. So I was told by every attorney in that area, probably about a 40-mile area, that was like, I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know how you're going to do it. So I said, well, I don't have a choice. I either start my own firm or I go work at somewhere else, like not doing law. So like I said, I bought the building, repainted it, got some furniture, got a sign, put it outside, joined the golf course, membership at the golf course, the local golf course, joined the Chamber of Commerce, and that was about it. That was all the networking there was there. You know, so I played golf every Thursday and a couple times during the week, during whatever was going on.
Are
My
you
father-in-law, no, I'm not good. I'm okay. I did really well on Sunday. Sunday I played the best I've played in probably a year or two, whatever. It just depends. It's hit and miss with me. It's like I'm consistently inconsistent. So I met a lot of people out there. I met a lot of people, oddly enough, at the bars. You know, you go have a couple drinks and dinner, you meet some people there. And people just started walking in. Hey, welcome back. Can you do this? I'm like, yep. Not knowing how to do it when they walked in, but knowing that I'm really good at research and I'll be able to figure it out by tomorrow. And I'll tell you how much it's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it blew up. And like I said, within a few months, I hired an assistant. Within about a year, had an attorney call me, say, just new to the area. I said, I don't know if that much help yet. I'm busy. Anyway, we worked out a deal and it was fantastic. From there forward, we were just like increasing revenues every year, just by figuring out systems and how to do things, and it was fantastic. Never had a slow year, never had a slow month, never had a month that I had to worry about payroll or paying bills or anything. And then I put the brakes on that because I said, my wife and I decided to move. You know,
it's the best state in the world, Florida.
Pulled up stakes, and my friends were all like, you are crazy. Are you kidding me? The machine you have there, my law firm, it was amazing.
Really? Okay.
And they were like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't like winter. Kids graduated from high school. I got to shovel the scoop. I say scoop. It's what Iowa thing, I guess. I got to shovel the snow, and I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So we're moving. We're moving to Florida. They're like, why?
It's warm weather, the beaches.
Why? And I did try to hire another attorney before I left so I could keep the law practice open, because if I had my associate that was there and I would have hired another attorney, I could have flown back and forth and made it work. But with just her, I couldn't do it, so I ended up selling her the practice, and it was fantastic. She's still running it. She changed it to her name, but she's doing a great job. Then I moved here, so that was my easy story. It was really easy. Worked out better than I ever imagined it would have, starting up a business in rural Iowa. And I've heard that all rural towns have a shortage of professional services. So if there's somebody out there that's looking to make a business and wants to get involved in a community, go to a small town in anywhere. And that's where you start your business, because they need professional services. They need accountants, they need lawyers, they need video people, they definitely need computer techs that know what they're doing. Because everybody's leaving the small town to go to the city because it's more fun to live in the city. And that's what I was having a problem with, because there were probably 3 or 4 people that graduated from law school that I knew because they knew their parents, and they were like, no, I'm not coming back there. I'm staying in Des Moines. I'm staying in Omaha. I'm staying in wherever. Mm-hmm. So it was
all the business recruiting. Go to you.
Yeah, all the business. So if you're starting a business and it's a professional services or some specialized service, go to a small town if you like the small town world. So when I moved here, I was clueless. Absolutely clueless. I thought I knew how to run a business. I did. I knew how to run a business. Thought I knew how to grow a business, but I didn't. Mm-hmm. So I did what I knew. I joined the chamber. I played golf. I did a couple things and didn't get any clients, and I didn't get any clients, and I didn't get any clients, and I finally started marketing for divorce clients. And I finally started getting some divorce clients because we did mailers and it worked. We're one of the only firms that was actually doing mailers for for divorces. Most law firms do mailers for tickets, for civil suits, for a lot of other things, but they weren't, for some reason, they weren't doing them for divorces. One attorney actually told me that it was unethical, and I was like, no, it's not. How? Another family attorney, because he didn't think of it. That's I'm sure that's why, but I don't know. So growing my law firm in Florida was very slow and very painful. I had moments where I could barely pay for parking to go to court. And that was from coming from a business that was just like growing without effort. Yeah. And then moving here and realizing that, oh crap, it took a little bit longer than I thought, because I had reserves. I didn't come here with nothing. Yeah. But it got down to nothing and then negative, and it's like it got scary. And I hired a business coach. I started doing I was doing B&I first, but I hired a business coach, and he really got my mindset going. And I thought my mindset was great, but it wasn't. It was trash. And once I got my mindset straight, my message got better. He helped me with my message as well. Helped me with revenue tracking and tracking all different kinds of key performance indicators, KPIs. And that's what you have to do if you're growing a business. Right, I didn't know any of that stuff.
You hit a lot of spots. I just want to make sure I got everything. So the important thing is networking groups. Whether it's golf,
to start out, if your budget is minimal, networking.
Networking groups, whatever networking, whether it's City of Commerce's, things like that.
Chamber of Commerce. Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce's, golfing, soccer team, tennis, whatever. Then it's systems. You said you had a good system in place. Mm-hmm. And then from systems, you had a business coach. So, and then when you came to Florida, you did the same thing. You did the same Chamber of Commerce's. You did Chamber of Commerce's.
Yeah, it was the first thing I joined when I got here, because I knew Chamber of Commerce. Yeah.
You did the whole
Fort Lauderdale, Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce. I did that.
And then you did mailers. So that was the way that you started marketing yourself as well. Yeah. First you show up by doing that networking events. It
didn't work. It didn't work.
And then you did mailers.
My message was trash. I had head trash.
But then you started doing mailers after that, right?
Started doing mailers.
And mailers, you started getting some traction. So that was
for the family law.
For the family law.
And I'd already discovered that, okay, I can't talk about everything. Because I met David within a few months of being here. And he said, narrow your message, come up with your niche.
Yeah.
So I did, and that's when I was estate planning, estate planning, estate planning, estate planning, estate planning. But everybody said, I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
What's that
okay.
mean? Well, I don't need that. I don't have multi-millions. And that's when I came up with the whole, okay, how do I carve that out where people understand what I'm talking about and know that they do need it? And then where am I going to carve it down even more to somebody I can relate to, which is families with kids.
All right. So you went from mailers to the business coach. The business coach helped you with your mindset and your messaging.
Yeah.
Those are like important. These are like very, very, very important things here. Like messaging and mindset.
Yeah.
So the business
marketing
coach.
and mindset.
So what made you take the leap to get a business coach? Did somebody advise you to get a business coach? Why did you get a business coach?
All right. So Juan Ortega is my business coach. He had, well, I don't, he's not my coach right now, but for 7 years I had him as a coach, and he was fantastic. He was one of the first people I met.
You just got a business coach.
What? Well, no, I didn't just get one. So I digging up a lot of history here, man. So I moved here, right? Yeah. And I didn't know anybody. So I joined the Chamber of Commerce. First Chamber of Commerce event I went to, I was on time, because that's what Iowans do. We show up on time or early. If you're not early, you're late, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly.
And Fort Lauderdale, South Florida, is if you're half an hour late, you're probably a little early.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm used to being on time. That's why when I told you I might be running a few minutes late. So, okay. I'm big on that. On time. Be on time. And it was me and Juan. We were the only ones there. We were the only ones that were on time. So I chatted with him for a while, and we exchanged numbers, and I was like, yeah, business coach, whatever. I know how to build a business. I built a business already. I was doing so fantastic, da-da-da-da.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need him. I didn't think I needed him. That probably would have been the best time to hire him, is when I got there, because I had money. I had cash flow. I still had cash flow coming in from Iowa. I still had money in the bank. So had I hired him then, I would be probably 2 or 3, 4 times further along than I am now. That was a long time ago. But I listened to him. I went to a few of his little seminars. I picked up a couple tidbits here and there. And then I was just at my wit's end. I was like, I'm doing something wrong. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And we had a meeting, and I hired him. And that was the best decision I ever made. I was scared out of my mind because it was a lot of money. But it was the best decision I made, besides listening to David and niching down to estate planning, which is what Juan told me to do too. He's like, okay, now what are you going to do inside of that? I'm like, what do you mean? It's estate planning. How do you do estate planning? No. What are you going to do inside of estate planning? That's where I came up with families with small kids, families with young kids.
Wow.
And then he helped me with everything. And I didn't know I had a mindset issue. Nobody does. Nobody thinks they have a mindset issue. It's like, my mind is perfect. I'm good. I got a great attitude. No, you don't. Your attitude sucks, but you can't tell it. But I can from the outside.
I like that. So it's important. So first you went and got a mentor or a business coach. Not just a mentor, you got a business coach.
Business coach, yeah.
And he helped you with your mindset. So your mindset
which I
is
didn't know
important.
I had a problem with.
Yeah.
And that's an issue that a lot of business owners have to face the facts of. They don't know they have a mindset issue. Yeah. And nobody wants to, and he never came out and said, I'm going to work on your mindset first. If he would have said that, I would have said, you're off your rocker, dude. You can help me with my marketing, with my sales, with my messaging.
Yeah.
Sure. If he would have said, yeah, I'm going to help you with your mindset, that's just not how it works. You know, you have to give clients what they need as well as what they want.
Yeah. Yeah. And then your messaging, that's another key thing too, because messaging is really, really big in my industry, because for anything video, it's so important that we nail down the messaging, or that we know the messaging and who we're sending this message to.
Yep.
Because if we don't,
nobody's gonna.
No matter how good the creative is, it's gonna fail every time.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times I'm really, really hard on people about getting down on that messaging first before. Yo, yo. So yeah, man, I really appreciate you connecting with me and like just giving me so much game and just like so much insight, like just in like from probate to trust to everything, and then just like about this business and messaging. So like just so I could get some insight too, some more insight with the messaging. Like how did that help you as far as like advertising yourself?
Yeah, people understood what I was saying. I wasn't using what I thought was plain English. Like I said, I don't like to use the big words or big legal terms or legal terminology, but I also am a lawyer, and those are the things I know. So sometimes I don't know that I'm not speaking as plain English as I want to. Probably just kind of like that sentence right there. It's just really getting it down to even plainer English, if that's a word. Just messages that people can understand, and I'm still working on that. That's a work in progress. You know, since I had my business coach for so many years, and I started, I heard about Grant Cardone and a bunch of other people online in the whole shutdown period. I had a lot of spare time at home because I wasn't doing the networking events. I was doing networking events probably 4 or 5, 6 times a week, whether it was breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I was always out doing networking. That's how I grew my business. And then the shutdown, well, that wasn't available anymore. So I had to figure out different ways to get my message out there and refine my message even better. And through all those different resources, I've just continued to work on it, and I continue to work on it even more. So you'll see a few things come out from me in the next couple months about even better messaging, I hope. And I'll tweak that. So I think it's something that's constantly evolving. Once you get it and it works consistently, then maybe you just tweak a little bit here and there, but not too much. I was just listening to something on the way here about, that's funny, perfect timing that I heard that. I was listening to some book, I don't remember what, Irresistible Offer, I think is what it's called, Irresistible Offer. And the author is talking about it because I do audiobooks, of course, when you're driving. And he was talking about the U.S. Army. He was a soldier for 8 years, and he said the biggest mistake the Army did was in their messaging. It used to be all you can be, and then they changed it to an army of one. Be all you can be had consistent improvements in their recruiting across the board. Never had a down year. And they changed it to an army of one, and the numbers dropped. And they stuck with it. I think they're still using an army of one. Maybe they're not, but I don't think they went back to be all you can be. But that was a consistent message that was working, and then they changed it. So if you find something that works for you and it's consistent, keep doing it. I found that I work with families with young children, works. People think about that, and they're like, oh, you're not looking for the old people that are about ready to die that have millions of dollars? No. I'm looking for families with younger children.
That's dope.
That's my message.
That's great, man. I really appreciate that, man, because that really helped me a lot too, and a lot of like, yeah, that's definitely going to be helping me in the next coming months. You guys are going to see my messaging fine tuned, and yeah, man, because it's all about messaging, and I usually help everybody else with their messaging. So taking that time to focus on how I articulate, what we do for everyone else.
Right.
So that is really great, man. So yeah, man, I really appreciate you kicking it with us and spending some time. Choose to create, get your estate together. Leave a legacy, not a mess.
That's right. Leave a legacy, not a mess.
Exactly. Choose to create. Yo.